The information that I'm about to share with you in this video is so powerful that it could be used for good or evil. So I encourage you, please, please, please use it for good only. Now, with that said, I'm going to be sharing with you several psychological tools that you can use to get more clients for your law firm. Let's go. Now, the first tool that you can use is the Preframe. If you've ever seen a well-known speaker give a presentation, often what happens is they will have a sizzle reel that plays before they go up that shows all their accomplishments and really makes them look really, really good. It's a way for them to brag without actually bragging. Or they'll give information to the MC to read about him, highlighting their accomplishments and why you actually want to listen to this speaker. You can do this same thing, but the problem is that you can't do it yourself. Because if you talk to a new lead and just tell them how great you are, then they're probably going to roll their eyes and they're not going to like you very much. But what if you could have somebody else pre-frame how amazing you are before the lead ever gets on the phone with you? Well, typically when somebody calls your office, you're not the first person that they're going to talk to. For example, let's say you're a DUI attorney. Typically what happens is somebody calls your office and the person answers the phone and they say law office, and the person says, I got a DUI, and they say, okay, please hold, and then they put you in touch with the intake department. So what if instead of saying something like, please hold, they said, well, you made a fantastic choice calling this law firm. In fact, the main attorney at this firm has been representing people who've been accused of DUI for over 20 years. We actually just won a couple cases this week. Let me put you on hold and I'll get them right on the phone for you. Now that's a much better transition, and it's already pre-framing to the lead that they made the right decision. Something as simple as that, just 2 or 3 lines, will make a huge impact in the state that the lead goes into the consultation. So always, always, always make sure that whoever's answering your phone is always talking you up before transferring the call to whoever's handling the intake. That will get you a lot more clients. Now, the next thing you can do is price anchoring. Most of the time, law firms typically just have one price. I got a DUI, I want a divorce, I want an estate plan. It's usually just this one price. Or you maybe have multiple prices, but you only present one price. Now, here's the thing. With one price, that is not that great. So you want to have multiple prices. Now, if you give 2 prices, then people are always going to choose the cheaper price. So the option that you should take is to present 3 prices. And what you want to do is you want to have a premium value offer. So let's say it costs $5,000 for you to handle a DUI. Then what you want to do is you want to have a very, very expensive one and then kind of a cheap one that isn't really appealing, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. For example, let's say your typical DUI is $5,000. Then what you want to do is create a $10,000 option. Now, this is where this gets fun. What you want to do is you want to sit down with a pen and a piece of paper and write out what are all the things that you could do. How could you serve that client if you were actually going to charge them $10,000 for a DUI? And what you're going to come up with is you're going to come up with a premium value offer. Now, this is going to be the first offer that you make. This is going to be the first price that you give them. And the reason why is because you want to set the price really high. Now, here's what's really interesting. Some people are just going to take that high price. If you get on an airplane, there's probably 200 seats, but there's 12 seats that are first class. That costs 3 or 4 times as much as all the other seats on the plane, because there are people out there that will take a premium value offer. Just by making the premium value offer, you're going to make more money because a certain percentage of people will pay for the premium value offer. Now, if they don't take the premium value offer, then what you want to do is you want to have 2 other prices, one of which is going to be the middle price, and that's the price that you want most people to take. And then there's also going to be a bottom price that's kind of a decoy price. So you'll say, well, if you don't want the platinum package, we do have the gold package, which is $6,800. And then we also have the bronze package, which is $4,500. Now, here's the thing. You want the $4,500 package to not make any sense whatsoever. It should be almost they're doing it themselves, right? To the point where it's almost like, well, it kind of just makes sense. I really should just go for the gold package. And here's the thing. The gold package is not going to seem like that much money because they're already price anchored at that $10,000 price. So even if you charge $5,000 normally, you can actually increase that price to $5,500 or $5,800 or $6,800 or whatever you want. And it will feel like less money because you've already presented them the $10,000 price. That's called price anchoring. And the reason that works is because when 3 options are available, most people will pick the middle option, especially when the highest option is offered first. If you price anchor, you're going to make more money because you're going to have a premium value offer and you'll be able to charge more for your regular offer. Now, the next tool in your toolbox is something called labeling. human beings have a need to remain consistent with labels that they have assigned to themselves. Now, let me tell you exactly what I mean. There was a company that worked out of a shopping mall and they did surveys. And what they would do is they would walk up to people in the shopping mall with their clipboard and they would say, "Hey, would you mind taking this survey for us?" And the problem that they ran into was that 70% of people said, "No, I don't want to do this survey." So they started trying to figure, how can we get more people to take our survey? And they actually accomplished this goal by asking one simple question before asking if they would take the survey. They walked up to people in the mall and they asked, "Do you consider yourself to be a helpful person?" And most people want to see themselves in a favorable light in their own head, so virtually everybody said, "Yeah, I'm a helpful person." And then they asked, "Okay, awesome. Would you help me out by taking this survey real quick?" And just by asking that one question, by getting somebody to label themselves as a helpful person, they were able to change their results from 70% of people saying, "No, I won't take this survey," to 70% of people saying, "Yes, I will take this survey." That is a massive change just from one question. Now, the reason this works is because people need to remain consistent with labels that they self-assign. So they said, "Are you a helpful person?" What would a helpful person do? A helpful person would help somebody and take that survey. Now, obviously, you're not going to be asking your clients, "Are you a helpful person?" But a very interesting question to ask would be, what label can you get your clients to self-assign to themselves that would result in them hiring you, where hiring you would be consistent with that label? For example, maybe you're a family law attorney and you're talking to somebody about child custody. You can ask them, how important is it to you that you have a relationship with your child? Are you an active parent in your child's life? Do you want to be an active parent? And they say yes. Well, now the consistent thing to do is hire you to help them win that child custody case. Now, the next tool that you can pull out of your toolbox is something that you can do almost in passing right at the beginning of a conversation with a new prospect, and that is admitting some sort of weakness up front, some sort of shortcoming that you may have. Now, why is this important? You would think that we're in a sales consultation, so we want to put our best foot forward. Well, the reality is that nobody is perfect. And during a sales consultation, they have their guard up. They feel like you're just trying to sell them a bill of goods, right? So by admitting some sort of weakness or some sort of shortcoming right out of the gate, what's going to happen is you're going to put them more at ease and they're going to trust you more because you admitted some sort of weakness or some sort of shortcoming right out of the gate. So come up with something small, but trust me, this works really, really, really well. Now, the next concept for you to always keep in the back of your mind when you're talking to somebody is loss aversion. Now, loss aversion is the idea that people are much more motivated to avoid losses than they are to acquire gains. So when you're talking to clients about what you're going to do for them, you should make an emphasis on how you are going to help them avoid losing something rather than acquiring something. So you're going to help them avoid losing time or losing a relationship with their child or losing money rather than focusing on how you're going to get them more of something. People are always motivated to avoid losses much more than they are to acquire gains. Now, the next thing is urgency and scarcity. Most lawyers do not use urgency or scarcity far enough in their sales presentations. And it's as simple as saying, look, I can only handle so many clients. We are a boutique law firm, and I know that I can handle 5 clients per month. We've already signed up 4, and we have 2 other consultations this afternoon. So if you want me to get started on your case today, you got to move forward right now. Because once I fill that 5th spot, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to work with you. Urgency and scarcity are a marketer's best friends. And as a lawyer, you should use urgency and scarcity to get people to move forward. Because at the end of the day, if you have a service that helps people get a better result and helps people live a better life, you have a moral obligation to sell that service to as many people as possible. Think about all the great results that you've gotten for clients. If you have clients who are better off as a result of hiring your law firm, then you have a moral obligation to help as many people as possible. So that's why it's important that you use something like urgency and scarcity to get people to move forward so that you can help improve their life. Now, another thing to keep in mind is your messaging around fear. Everybody knows that fear is a very powerful motivator. However, there is a time when messages around fear will be ignored. And that is when there's no plan presented alongside the fear to specifically fix the problem that the fear is based around. So whenever you talk to a client about something that they fear, maybe they're afraid of jail, maybe they're afraid of losing their income, maybe they're afraid of losing their reputation, maybe they're afraid of losing custody of their kids, maybe they're afraid of losing their house, whatever it is, if you immediately present a plan that will alleviate the fear, a plan that will deal with the thing that's causing the fear, they will automatically feel much better about that message and it will draw them closer to you. However, if you talk about the fear and you don't give them a plan or some sort of indication that you have a plan to address that fear, they'll actually ignore that message and it will not bring them closer to you. So always make sure whenever fear is discussed, you always have to make sure that there's a plan associated with that fear that is going to show them how you can help alleviate that fear. And the final tool that you need to have in your psychological toolbox that I'm going to talk to you about in this video is the idea that people tend to stick with things that have already been started. Now, let me explain to you what I mean by this. If you've ever gone to a car wash or maybe gone to get ice cream with your kids, sometimes they'll give you a little business card that they punch holes in every time you make a purchase. And once you get 10 punches on the card, then they'll give you a free ice cream. You've probably seen this before. Well, there's an interesting experiment that was done around this exact thing. There was actually a car wash. They gave half the people that came into the car wash a card that had 8 spots on it. So the people got the car wash, it had 8 spots, and they got 1 punch. So now they had 7 more car wash visits that they needed in order to get a free car wash. Now the other half of people, they gave them a card that had 10 spots on it. And what they did on the first car wash is they punched 3 spots. So one card had 1 spot punched, the other card had 3 spots punched. However, both cards still needed 7 car washes before the recipient would get a free car wash. What's really, really interesting is almost all the car wash cards that were completed, meaning people got all 7 additional punches that they needed, came from the cards that started with 3 punches. Now, the interesting thing is that whether you had 10 spots or 8 spots, everybody still needed 7 spots to get punched. But the feeling of progress is what made people stick with it. They felt like they had already had some progress, so they continued with it. So when you're meeting with a lead and you've already dug into their medical history, you've already dug into their criminal report, you've already dug into their insurance information, whatever it is, emphasize that you've already gotten started, that we're already on the way, we've already made progress. So let's just keep going. And when you do that, people are much more likely to hire you because they're going to feel like the process has already been started rather than going to another attorney and having to start all over. So again, these are some very simple psychological tools that you can keep in your toolbox that I encourage you to only use for good because these are extremely powerful. But use these, let me know how they work for you, and good luck getting more clients. Talk to you guys soon.